Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Senators. I kind of think back, can you imagine how exciting it was to have the early formation of this country and prior to the Constitutional Convention and afterwards, and the high level of interest and intellect that the populace had? And can you imagine being there when the Federalist Papers were coming out and having, going to the coffee shop and having the Federalist Papers there, and you talk about it with these people, and can you imagine what that was like as we wrestled with the, coming at the kind of the end of the tortuous forming of this country, which must have been just hellacious when you think about the differences of opinion when we decide to split with Great Britain, and I just can't imagine. So I look at this and I think it can't be that bad what we have now. I do find that what we're seeing is a bifurcated country in a very dramatic way that I think is harmful and hurtful. I see colleagues that represent different sides of that. And we're in Wyoming, and so we're kind of unique. We still talk to each other. We still try to work it out. And, our nation is very, very polarized. But I'm trying to think, what would be the benefits to our nation to have this dialogue about reasserting the balance between states and the federal government? It was a very important balance that was carefully crafted, and that was one of the major issues in the formation of our government, was to offset the land and territory and local governments versus high population centers. And you know what that is? That is the equivalent of the red versus blue today in a lot of ways. Not exclusively, there are blue people in red states and red people in blue states, and it's okay. But this is a crux of that discussion again, in a crucible that we need to work it out. We need to work it out in a way that's not tweets, and it's not disrespectful, and it's debated at the coffee shops, and we move forward. I believe this provides that opportunity with the safety valves in the Constitution. I am not worried about a runaway convention. I realize that the country is mostly blue now, and that we are possibly going into a convention, a historic convention in a blue country. That doesn't bother me. I'll tell you why. It is because of the process itself. First, we have the call for the convention. It takes 2/3 of the states to do that. Up to the eve of the convention, there has to be 2/3. The morning of the opening of the convention, there has to be 2/3 that support it. If at any time in that journey, and that'll be a long journey, and we'll talk about it in coffee shops, and we'll say, look at what these guys are proposing, look what those guys are proposing. States can say, whoa, it's going in the wrong direction. I rescind our call. We could do it ourselves in the Wyoming legislature with a special session. We can call ourselves in. And if we needed to, we could. Oh my gosh. And so that's important. That's in the whole term of the process. But do you know what this whole thing is? It's proposing an amendment. It's not developing amendments. I mean, it's not ratifying amendments. So that the work of the convention, which might last weeks, it might last hours, but I think the weeks is better, and that having these discussions, our version of Federalist Papers and people understanding their government and talking about the balance of power between the states and the federal government is very healthy. But supposing it goes south, in our opinion, or what I might think, then we get a chance to look at it again. Because unless we would have the opportunity, if the state ratification is the method, that we would be one of 3/4 of states Now flip that around. It only takes a quarter of the states to say, no, that is our safety valve. I'm convinced that our structure has been in place so long with an increasing federal side to the balance of power that no one even really realizes it. We've just kind of gradually gone down the slope. And what our founding fathers, they made a few mistakes. They did not imagine about popular political support behind someone. They didn't imagine you could get elected repeatedly. They did not imagine political parties. Some of them did, but political parties were kind of they were really frowned upon. And it was really hoped that the political parties wouldn't hijack the country. I don't think they could imagine a thing like safe districts, like campaign finance, or how much it costs to run for election. These are kind of the reasons that perhaps we just can't recall our guys back there and send somebody new. So, trust. I think there are extremists on both sides. And I think this is actually a middle of the road proposal. I hope it's one of many things where we discuss reforms to our country. I think it's really good to talk about fiscal responsibility. It really is okay to talk about whether people have been in office too long and whether it's too powerful. There's nothing wrong with that. I hope you'll support it. And if you support it for now, and then we get on the eve of the convention, Wyoming does not have to maintain, and we have rescinded the orders before. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hope you're feeling better.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Case.
I'm here live in Philadelphia at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. When you hear the phrase lives, fortunes, and sacred honor, these are the folks we should think of, those who anonymously gave their lives. Well, today you have a chance to volunteer. You need to volunteer for conventionofstates.com, the movement that's going to save the country. These folks are willing to step up and give everything. We need you to give just a little bit. Go to conventionofstates.com and volunteer today.